Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's John Campia, and this is a companion video. What is a companion video? Well, I'm glad that you asked. See, every day on the John Campia Show and on Open Mic, we take some time to take live questions. However, we don't always have time to get around to all of the questions that we get sent in, but I want to make sure those questions get answered, so we gather up the unused questions, bring them over here, and we address them on the companion videos. So, without wasting any time, let's dive right into it. And the first question we're getting caught up on today comes to us from Club Star Wars, who writes, "These rumors on Rian Johnson, any substance?" No, there's just factually not. Now, there are rumors going around that the Rian Johnson trilogy has been canceled. It hasn't. That is not to say that it's impossible that it could be at some point. Of course it is. This is Hollywood. This kind of stuff happens. We see it happen all the time. But the last official word from Rian Johnson is, nope, I'm still working out. The only thing is I'm not sure that I'm going to direct parts 2 or 3. I'm still just focused on part 1 right now, blah, blah, blah. So as of right now, absolutely nothing, no substance to all that other stuff. But that is not to say that it couldn't possibly happen. It can possibly happen. This is Hollywood, and stuff like this happens all the time. For now, everything is still moving forward. Jeff Ning writes, MoviePass opens at 3.2 cents, closes at 2.9 cents. As a matter of fact, it's now down to 2.1. So MoviePass has gone just about as low as it can go. There's really not much lower that it can go. It's funny, a friend of mine in Las Vegas messaged me on Facebook the other day and said, hey, John, I'm actually seriously thinking about buying some MoviePass stock. And Helios and Matheson is the name of the company that owns MoviePass. So he's like, I'm thinking about buying stock in Helios and Matheson. What do you think about that? And what I said to him was like, well, look, I mean, the reality is the risk is pretty low. You can get the stock for about 2 cents, right? That means you can buy 10,000 stocks for $200. And if MoviePass makes some big announcement tomorrow, you don't even need it to go up to like $8 a share. If it just goes up to like 12 cents a share, right? Your $200 now turns into what? $1,200? Just like that. So, and if they shut their doors and they go out of business, okay, you're out $200. It's tempting. Now, I am no investing expert. You shouldn't listen to me whatsoever when it comes to financial matters. But I got to admit, and I told him, I'm considering it myself. I'm considering pulling together $400 or $500 and just buying like $500 worth of stock. Because even if it goes up to like 4 cents for a day, I can double my money. So it's tempting, but again, pay no attention to me when it comes to financial matters because I am no financial expert whatsoever. All right, next one. Tomas Bergstrom writes, I'm missing big historic dramas like Braveheart and Gladiator. Think we'll get another one soon? Well, the reality is, Tomas, we have had a few over the last number of years. It's just none of them do particularly well. And, you know, Braveheart, I guess Braveheart was a drama. Gladiator is a drama, but there's also a little bit more to them than just straight up dramas. Like they're also, in many senses, both of them are kind of action and adventure films all at the same time, right? So they're not just straight historical dramas per se. But these are big, expensive films. And look, there never were a lot of films like Braveheart and Gladiator. They only come out once in a while because they're big budget, which means they're high risk for the studios and yada, yada, yada. And right now, the studios don't want to put a lot of money behind things that aren't franchises because the franchises prove they make the money. So we always have gotten them in slow pace, and we'll probably still continue to get them in slow pace. But like I said, we have gotten a couple in the last few years, just that they don't do so well, so we don't really talk about them all that much. All right, View17 writes, love Nolan, I assume you mean Christopher Nolan. Insomnia is great. It's my favorite Christopher Nolan film is Insomnia. What should he do next? Oh, whatever he wants. Look, Christopher Nolan seems to like to do his own stuff. He seems to like to write and come up with his own stuff. And, you know, whether it's a war drama or whether it's about exploring space and time or whether it's about, you know, dreams within dreams within dreams. He just likes to create new stuff and do his own thing. A lot of people were saying he should do Bond. And I've always thought he really wouldn't be all that interested. It seems to me like a Christopher Nolan wouldn't be all that interested in Bond. Yes, he did Batman, but that was a long time ago. And he seemed to get past it. And I believe he said he would probably never, I can't remember whether it was him or whether it was Christian Bale that said they would never do comic book movies again. But at any rate, he seems to like to do original things that he writes and creates. And because of that, I'm not so sure that he would get involved with a James Bond or anything like that. So when asking what should he do next, it'll be exactly that. I believe whatever his next film's going to be, it's not going to be a franchise. It's not going to be a property we know. I think it's going to be a new original film that he writes and creates, probably with his brother. So that's what I'm guessing we're probably going to see. Let's see. Viper91 writes, thoughts on the movie Upgrade? Loved it personally. Yeah, I was late to the party on Upgrade. I was very late to the party on that, but I watched it. It's great. But here's the thing. I will admit, a lot of my enjoyment just comes from the pure action of it. And it's such a unique style of action. I mentioned on my show the other day that, when it comes to fight sequences, you can have very mechanical fight sequences, which can be good, and very fluid fight sequences, which can also be good. But they're almost like oxymorons of each other, right? But in Upgrade, when you watch the action, it's very mechanically smooth. It's weird. I've never seen anything like it in a film before. I'm not sure how much, like, you take the action out of that movie, I'm not sure how much I enjoyed that movie, to be honest. So I don't know that I'm comfortable saying it's a great motion picture, because you take out that action, do I like the story that's left? It's interesting. I don't know if it's great, but you add what they did with the action stuff, and it becomes a very enjoyable movie experience. So I got a big kick out of it. I liked it a lot, even though I was late to the party. Let's see. Bruce Wayne writes, someday you just can't get rid of a bomb. If I'm not mistaken, that is Adam West. The Adam West from the original from the original Batman movie. And he's like running around trying to find a place to dispose of a bomb, and he can't find a safe place to do it. So I believe, and especially since going by your username, Bruce Wayne, I think that's the one you're referring to. All right. Shirley Burton writes, box office movies based on TV shows, mostly bad? Not necessarily. I mean, I can think of a couple of movies based on TV originals that did quite well. I mean, other than Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I think my all-time favorite Harrison Ford movie, we talked about this on my show the other day, is The Fugitive. That was based on a TV show. That did pretty well. 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street. The Mission Impossible films are doing pretty damn well. Hold on a second. Let's see here. Movies based on TV shows, box office, and Star Trek. The Star Trek movies based on a TV show. Untouchables was based on a TV show. So there are certain... I wouldn't necessarily... Look, there's a lot of them that come out and they do badly. But is there a higher percentage of movies based on TV shows that do badly compared to the normal percentage of just any movie that does badly? I don't think so. I think there's a percentage of them that do well, percentage of them that don't. The first X-Files movie did quite well. The second X-Files movie, not so much, but still. I would know. I would not necessarily say mostly bad. I wouldn't necessarily say... I think there are enough positive examples that would preclude us from saying, oh yeah, all TV shows or all movies based on TV shows, they mostly do bad. There's a bunch of them that do pretty good. So I don't think the percentage of good to bad is any different from regular movies that are good to bad, So I wouldn't necessarily say that, Shirley. All right, next up, Lucas James Westman writes, this is something I often think about. Do you think the future of movies and entertainment will be shot on smartphones? No, but you can shoot a movie on a smartphone. As a matter of fact, I think it was Soderbergh who directed Unsane. Hold on a second. There's this little movie called Unsane with Claire Foy, who's in The Queen. At least she was in The Queen for the first 2 seasons. Now she's going to be in the Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest or something like that. Unsane was directed by, yes, it was Steven Soderbergh. So Claire Foy and Steven Soderbergh, their movie Unsane, which came out last year, that was all shot on an iPhone 7. The whole thing was shot on an iPhone 7. Now, I'm sure there was a lot of post-production done on it, but it was shot on an iPhone 7. You can absolutely, you can shoot an entire movie on a cell phone. You totally can. Will it look right? No. And even as much post-production they did on it and all the stuff all the processing they did on it and all that kind of stuff, when you look at Unsane, it doesn't look like a major motion picture. It feels like a major motion picture because of the way Steven Soderbergh shoots it and everything. But for the most part, the image itself, you can tell you're not looking at true movie quality camera. Are we ever going to get to a point where you can make a true movie quality camera in a cell phone? I don't know that you can. I mean, there just comes a point of physics where, like, your glass, which is so important, you can only fit so much glass into what your lens is into a camera like that, right? So I don't know. Look, I'm sure they're going to get smaller. Everything's getting smaller, but where it's a regular thing that motion pictures are being shot on cell phones, I don't know. I just don't know that the laws of physics will bend that far. So I'm going to guess no. But even though you can theoretically do it already. All right. Alan Jensen writes, Scorsese no longer involved in Joker. Look it up. No, that's not necessarily true, Alan. See, here's the thing. There are reports saying that Scorsese isn't involved anymore. But that doesn't change anything. When this Joker movie comes out, you're going to see Martin Scorsese's name listed as a producer. A lot of producers, their work is done before a movie starts shooting. Now, there are certain producers who are involved with the movie all the way through and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of producers, they produce the film. They get all the pieces together, they get all the individuals involved together, they approve certain things and blah, blah, and then by the time they're ready to actually make a movie, their job's done. So, to say that Scorsese is no longer involved, I'll buy into that, but I'm telling you right now, when this movie comes out, Martin Scorsese will be listed as one of the producers of the film. I mean, that's just it. And to say he's not involved anymore, well, that's not really atypical of when a lot of producers are kind of finished their part of the job. You know, they pull everything together, they set the direction, blah, blah, and then they're done. Then they step away and they're done. Some producers more hands-on, some producers involved the whole way through, all that kind of stuff, yes. But you're going to see Scorsese's name on the credits list as a producer of the film. Jayan Bugwager writes, favorite Harry Potter movie or book? Well, I have never read the Harry Potter books, and I probably never will. But my favorite Harry Potter movie is actually the final one. I believe the final one is Deathly Hallows Part 2. Yeah, it was a great culmination of the entire series. But it was great as a standalone film as well. I really enjoy that movie a lot. So for me personally, yeah, my favorite Harry Potter, again, I can't say books, I don't read them, but I can say that my favorite Harry Potter movie is that last one. Oddly enough, my least favorite Harry Potter movie is Harry Potter 3. I believe that's The Prisoner of Azkaban. I think that's The Prisoner of Azkaban. Anyway, whatever the third film was. And that's funny because a lot of Harry Potter movie fans will identify that one as their favorite. And yet, to me, that's the one that didn't work very well. But whatever. My favorite one is Deathly Hallows Part 2. All right. Sebastian writes, I agree with you that $5 Tuesdays brings out fans. Well, yeah. I mean, I used to love $5 Tuesdays. I love going to movies on $5 Tuesdays. Number one, because there's always big crowds. And I like big crowds at movies. Because the more people in the theater, the more shared experience it is. And I love that. But it was also easy on the wall. Like, $5 for a ticket. I believe movie theaters should have $5 Tuesdays again. I really do. So that way you have big weekends, and you have at least one day during the week that's also pretty big. Brings out the people. Bring back $5 Tuesdays, for heaven's sakes. Aiden Norris, I should say, writes, thoughts on American Vandal Season 2 trailer? I don't know. Look, I was just like everybody else. Season 1 of American Vandal was a revelation. It was great. I loved Season 1 of American Vandal with the dick picture. Who drew the dicks? It's great. I didn't love the turd burglar. I didn't love, first of all, the new mystery, who spiked the drinks that made everybody lose control of their bowels. Okay, that's funny, but I will admit, when I was watching the trailer for Season 2 with the turd burglar, I kind of felt like the shine of the shtick has worn off. Now, that's just a trailer. So I'll admit, I watched the trailer, I couldn't get that enthusiastic about it because I felt like we're just doing the same thing again. And I felt like the shtick has worn off. The shtick is not a bad word, by the way. The shtick in the first one made it work great. I just feel like it's played out. But who knows? I'll definitely watch it. I'm definitely going to give it a shot because I like the first one so much. But I will admit that the trailer didn't quite hit it home for me like the way the first one did. That's just me, though. All right. Victor Boreas writes, Morning, John. Wanted to know your thoughts on the What Men Want trailer with Taraji P. Henson, a new take on the Mel Gibson film. Yeah, so a little while ago, the first trailer came out. And I remember I woke up that morning that the trailer came out. And it had already been released because it released like 6 a.m. LA time. It released at like 9 a.m. East Coast time, but I was still in bed when it released. And so I woke up and looked, and there were already people talking about it, saying, oh my God, this new What Men Want trailer is hilarious. It's awesome. And I'm like, okay, great, because I really like Henson too. So I was like, not so much Proud Mary. That was not so good. But I really like Taraji P. Henson very much. So, and I love the concept of it. So I was like, yes, can't wait to watch this. I'll be honest with you, the trailer did not work for me. I did not find the trailer funny. I thought the jokes were pretty safe, and I thought they were pretty predictable. And I just didn't find it funny. So, who knows? It's just a trailer. Maybe all the funny stuff's going to be in the movie. I'm definitely going to check the movie out. I am still interested in it. Because, again, I love the concept, and I really like Taraji P. Henson. So I'm going to check this out. But whereas everybody else seemed to really love the trailer, I wanted to, but I'm like watching going, it's not that funny, and it's pretty predictable and not very imaginative. But whatever, it's just a trailer. That was just my thoughts on it. All right, Michael Jones writes, Hey, John, thanks for your recommendation. Just finished The Giftin'. I think you mean The Gifted. And The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That show is so... Guys, if you have not started watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime, it won all the Emmys. It won all the Golden Globes. It's amazing. It's so funny. And you watch the first 5 minutes of it and you'll think, oh, this isn't a show that's for me. I thought the same thing. Anne just made me watch the entire first episode. But she's like, you gotta watch it. I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't look very good to me. She's just watching. I'm thinking, okay, but it's not for me. Okay, I'll watch it. And the first 2 minutes, sure, like I'm like, okay, this is clearly not a show that's targeted at me. But then I watched the whole first episode, just loved it. It's so good. Make sure you check it out. But anyway, both were great. Just starting, spell check dudes, just starting The Office and Lucifer's. I think you mean Lucifer. In about 5 episodes into both are great. Well, first of all, I'm jealous that you've never watched The Office and you get to watch The Office now for the first time. That's amazing. You're in for a great ride, man. I love that show. And Lucifer, obviously, I talk about Lucifer all the time. Again, guys, if you have not tried Lucifer, get on that train. Because season 4 is coming, and it's going to be on Netflix now. But yeah, get on board the Lucifer train. I think you're going to really enjoy it. All right, thanks for sending that in, Michael. All right, Tongers Viking writes, China tracking Ant-Man and the Wasp at 60 million opening weekend, and it actually came in over that. The actual opening weekend for Ant-Man and the Wasp in China was around 70 plus, making it the 5th largest comic book movie opening in Chinese theater history. Think about that. With all the comic book movies that have opened in China, Ant-Man and the Wasp is the 5th largest in Chinese theater history. Did very, very well. And it's taken Ant-Man and the Wasp now to over $600 million, which means Ant-Man and the Wasp has done better than the first Ant-Man did, which is what we kind of thought it would do. Still not one of the bigger Marvel films. It didn't hit 700 million, 800 million, whatever. But it's doing pretty good. And that's great. I still don't think they're going to make a third Ant-Man. I think they're done with their... I think Ant-Man's big arc ends in Avengers 4. It looks like he's going to play a significant role in Avengers 4. And I don't think they're going to do another Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man will continue to be a character in the MCU, but I still don't think they're going to do an Ant-Man 3. I'll be thrilled if they do. I would love it if they do. But I think we're going to see both Ant-Man and Wasp as characters in the MCU, but either in team-up films or in somebody else's film. But fingers crossed that I'm wrong on that. I would love it if they made it up, because I love the Ant-Man movies, man. John Early writes, my sister Karina died on May 22nd of this year. Oh, that's so awful, man. I'm very sorry to hear that, John. And I remember seeing Skyfall with her. The whole theater was empty except us. That was a good memory. You know, we've talked a little bit lately about this, about one of the great things about movies is they give us opportunities for shared experiences. And some of my favorite movies, I remember who I watched them with. I remember sitting with them and laughing with them and turning to each other and going, oh my God, like whatever in movies. Movies provide us awesome opportunities for shared experiences. And, we've been telling some stories, like other people have been sending in stories like yours, John, about, I watched this one movie, not a lot of people like it, but it was the last movie I saw with my uncle before he died, and so it's always special to me. I've told the story a couple times now about, I often think of the first Michael Keaton Batman, directed by Tim Burton, I mean. And how I just always remember that me and the guy who was my best friend growing up, his name was Brendan, who died last year. I remember he and I going to the Jackson Square movie theaters in downtown Hamilton and getting in the biggest line at the time I had ever seen at a movie theater to watch this Batman movie. And and now I have this great new tradition where every Christmas I go home and I take my mom to see the new Star Wars. My mom, who introduced me to Star Wars, I get to go home and take my family to go see the new Star Wars movie. Can't do that this year because there's no new Star Wars movie this year, but I'll do it next year. And stories like yours, John, about you and your sister. And now Skyfall is always going to have a completely special place in your heart for the rest of your life, right? And whenever you come across a Bond film or whatever, it's going to cause fond memories of your sister, and that's awesome. And that is just one of the great magical things about movies. So thank you for sharing your story, John. I really appreciate that. That's really special. And again, deepest condolences for your loss, man. Robert Perez writes, while everyone is watching the screen, I'm watching the look on my nephew's face during the Vader scene in Rogue One. The look of wow is simply priceless. Dude, that is one of the things I love, because I am a guy who I like going back to see movies. If I like a movie, I will go back and watch it multiple times. I'm just like that. And one of the things I love most is going to a movie I like with somebody who hasn't seen it yet. I get a big kick out of that. But what you're describing with the Vader scene, I think a lot of us were experiencing that with Avengers Infinity War. Because I obviously saw the movie at its premiere. And so then I went back to theaters and watched about 4 or 5 more times. And every time I went back to the theater, half the time I'm like watching everybody else. Like as the dusting and the snap and the dusting starts happening, I'm not even looking at the screen, man. I'm looking at everybody else, waiting to see their reactions. All right? Waiting to see their reactions to what's about to happen. Like I remember I did that for when Thor was about to show back up in Wakanda. It's like, okay, I was watching people see what they do with that. Went looking around when Captain America makes his first appearance in the movie, stepping out of the shadows in that subway station. And like everybody's like, ah! Or Thor shows up in Wakanda, ah! And then the snap. And people crying and sad and all this kind of stuff all over the place. I'm with you, man. When I go to these movies and there's like a big moment like that, I'm like you. I take my eyes off the screen and I become a people watcher, just seeing how they react to things. Let's see. Haskell 420 writes, hey John, the mind-boggling thing is the trolling Star Wars fans love a galaxy filled with people and characters of various colors, languages, races, and yet they trash an actress of color and of race. No, it's pathetic and it's sad and whatever. And, let me pull this up here for a second. A lot of people forget. Let me just see if I can get a web page of this. Okay, let me just see if I can get a screen capture of it too. Okay, so back, like there's, with all the toxicity, right? You get people who just don't like the new Star Wars movies. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. People who just simply went to those movies, watched them and thought, I think that sucks. Those people should not be lumped in with the toxic people. Just not liking or just because they hated a certain movie doesn't make them toxic, right? We got to make sure we understand there's a line there. The problem is, there were so many people just denying that there was actually any toxicity. Oh, there's no racism. I'm sorry? What? Are you blind? Of course there is. But the thing is, it goes all the way back. I remember, a lot of people forget about this. And let me just bring this up here. Well, I'll bring it up in a second. I remember when the first trailer for Star Wars Episode 7 came out, and John Boyega was in it, in a stormtrooper outfit. there was not just some little group, there was a trending hashtag on Twitter. It got to trending status. The hashtag boycott Star Wars 7 because they had a black guy in a lead role. That was it. And the people who started the hashtag boycott episode 7 hashtag was saying that this Star Wars is aiming for the genocide of the white race. I kid you not. Like this kind of nonsense bullshit that you think is just one or two crazy people. No, it was trending, man. So here's this was the headline. Boycott Star Wars 7 movement launch. Movie called Anti-White. And then down at the bottom there, see, new movie is promoting white genocide. And what I couldn't fit it into the screenshot. But they go on to say stuff like, boycott Star Wars 7 because it is anti-white propaganda, promoting white genocide, blah, blah, blah. It's this, all this kind of stuff. And it caught on. And like, the people who, there are just deniers out there who deny that this was a real problem or who are denying this is a real issue. It's not. You can't deny it. Now, the unfortunate thing is that there are people, tons of legit movie fans who just did not like the new Star Wars movies and wrongly are being lumped in with toxic fans, the people who are bashing it because they're racist and they're sexist and they're homophobic and all this kind of stuff. And an unfortunate thing here is that there are a whole ton of movie fans that are legit movie fans that watch these new movies and they just didn't like them. And they just didn't like them because they thought they were bad movies. And there's nothing wrong with that. And unfortunately, a lot of Star Wars fans are taking those people and lumping them in with the toxic fans too. And we shouldn't do that. That shouldn't happen at all. But you also can't stick your head in the sand and like pretend like it's not a real issue. It is a real issue. And you have to be just a flat out denier to pretend like it's not. Of course it's an issue. So anyway, yeah, but it is real. But I remember reading one response when the whole John Boyega thing was going on, like when the first big uproar about, oh, there's a black guy in Star Wars. I remember this one, I can't remember who tweeted it out, but somebody's put out this tweet and it caught on a lot. It's like, man, I can't wait to see these boycott Star Wars 7 people's faces when they realize that Darth Vader is voiced by a black dude. It's like, I know, right? Anyway, but yeah, it is unfortunate. It is part of the world we live in, unfortunate. But hey, as a world, we grow and we get better. And here's hoping we all do the same. All right, next one comes to us from Call of Duty God, who writes, I'm going to melt you down and turn you into a cock ring. Great line. What movie, John? Oh, that's a new one. This year and good luck. Another great line. Oh, that is Juggernaut talking to Colossus in Deadpool 2. Yeah, that's a recent one. That is, first of all, that movie is filled, just like the first Deadpool, filled with great lines and great dialogue. Fabulous movie filled with great stuff. That line, but Juggernaut has a lot of great. You know what the problem is? Juggernaut has a number of really great lines in that movie that get missed because he's often saying lines in the midst of some big action or he grumbles them, and I think people miss some of the lines. Some of Juggernaut's lines in Deadpool 2 are gold. And that whole I'm going to melt you down, turn you into a cock ring one was definitely one of the highlights. Absolutely one of the highlights. Nice quote, Call of Duty. All right. Sam Fisher writes, CW might have switched the nights because while it is a crossover, those episodes focus on the characters. So what he's talking about here, what Sam's talking about is the other day, we talked about how this year they're doing the big Arrowverse crossover again. Except this year it's not going to involve Legends of Tomorrow. It's just going to involve Flash, Arrow, and Supergirl. So we were talking about how it's interesting, though, that Flash that week is going to air on Sunday. That's normally Supergirl's day. But they're going to air Flash on Sunday. Then they're going to air Arrow on the Monday, which is when Arrow is, it's Monday night is its new regular night. And then they were going to air Supergirl on Tuesday, which is normally Flash's night. So Supergirl's normal night is going to be on Sundays. Flash's normal night is on Tuesdays. But for the crossover, they're swapping nights. I propose that the reason they're doing that is to try to boost the ratings for Supergirl. And it's not a bad strategy. Like, somebody's tuning in Tuesday night to watch The Flash is like, oh, it's Supergirl on tonight just for 1 week? Okay, well, I'll watch it. I think they're trying to promote that. So Arrow stays on his regular night, but they've swapped Supergirl and Flash just for that week for this big crossover event. It could be because of the focusing on different characters. It could be, but they could have done it another way to keep the regular nights. I think it has more to do with cross-promotion, which, by the way, is the whole reason they do these crossover events. The whole reason they do these Arrow crossover events every year is for cross-promotion. That's the whole point of doing it. Therefore, I'm thinking in terms of the reason they switched the nights of Flash and Supergirl, it seems perfectly logical to go, well, that reason was for cross-promotional reasons too. So, I'm sure they'll do certain things about focusing on which characters and when, but I still mostly think the reason they're doing it is to encourage cross-promotion of the different audiences across their different shows, which is the whole reason that they do these crossover events anyway, right? Okay, next up, Darren Chase writes, what happened to Best Song? In the 1980s, 90s, it was top 40 artists singing. The songs promoted the movies and invoked memories of films. Songs like Ghostbusters or Footloose. Why did this change? Well, it didn't really change. Well, first of all, Darren, with the examples you're pointing out, you're kind of wrong, right? I mean, Ray, who sang Ghostbusters? What was his name again? It was Ray something. Ray Park Jr. Ray Park Jr. was not a big star before Ghostbusters. I'd never heard of Ray Park Jr. before Ghostbusters. Never heard of him. I had never heard of Kenny Loggins before Footloose. I don't know if maybe he did, but I don't know of any Kenny Loggins big hits before Footloose. And then, of course, he had more hits with Top Gun after that, but I didn't know of any of that. It was the movie that made Ray Parker Jr. a known name, right? It was Footloose that made Kenny Loggins a known name. I think. I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not a music historian, but I'm just saying, I was a kid, but I don't remember there being any big hits before that. I mean, today, I mean, things are just... look, if Ghostbusters came out today for the first time, the song Ghostbusters wouldn't have been a hit song. It would have been considered cheesy, I think, to have the name of the song as the name of the movie as the name of your song, and your song is about your movie. I think today that would be considered cheesy. So I don't know that necessarily works today. I mean, look, you still have hit songs coming out of movies like we were just talking about Deadpool 2. Celine Dion's Ashes is an amazing song. Love that song. It's great. Speaking of Celine Dion, her song from Titanic, right? One of the most successful songs of all time. So, I mean, it's still there, but I don't know that it was ever, that big of a thing as compared to what it is today, right? So, anyway, that's just the way I sort of look at it. And I could be wrong. It's been known to happen. Roy L. writes, John, have you seen The Paper with Michael Keaton? Yes, I have. That was like a 1992, 93 movie. It's early 90s at any rate. And Marissa Tomei's in it. And from Godfather, Robert Duvall is in it. He plays like a tabloid magazine dude. I liked it. I don't remember it being a great movie, though. I think I saw it once, and that's it. And I don't think I necessarily remember thinking it was all that great, but I liked it. I think it was okay. Let's see. James L.H. writes, John, I agree Spielberg is the greatest director, past or present. What's your opinion on Duel? I know IMDb says TV movie, but still classic. You know what? As big of a fan as I am of Steven Spielberg, and by the way, I went to the annual John Williams in concert last night at the Hollywood Bowl, and I was shocked and surprised when his special guest was Steven Spielberg. And Steven Spielberg came out and told all these stories, setting up the next musical pieces. Seeing John Williams and Steven Spielberg on stage together was one of the best experiences of my life. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Anyway, so Steven Spielberg is my all-time favorite. But I can tell you right now, I've never seen Duel. Even though Steven Spielberg is my all-time favorite filmmaker, I have never seen Duel. So, unfortunately, James, I cannot really address your question because I've never seen it. Sorry about that, man. The Trisket 4 writes, Hey, John, what do you make of Tom Holland leaking begins the set stuff and info Let me try reading your language here again. The TJCS writes, "Hey John, what do you make of Tom Holland leaking begins the set stuff and info of Spider-Man Far From Home? Seems like fun marketing." I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, Triska. If what you're talking about is that like video that Tom Holland put out. Remember, Tom Holland put out this video the other day from set talking about how, just thanking the fans, saying, and by the way, guys, I'm just like Tom Cruise. I do all my own stunts. When clearly behind him is a stunt double who's dressed just like him, right? And here's the big thing. And then you hear directors in the background going, action, as he's filming his little video. And then his stunt double gets hit with this big blast of water and he goes flying off, right? Here's the funny thing surrounding that. Because the scene had water in it, all these websites and blogs start running around, Hydro Man is going to be one of the villains in Spider-Man Far From Home. Hydro Man. And I remember I saw those headlines before I saw the clip. And I'm just reading all these things like, oh, what? Like, so I opened on my newsfeed and I'm reading all these headlines. Hydro Man may be in Spider-Man 4. It looks like Hydro Man is another villain for Spider-Man to fight. Hydro Man, part of the Sinister Six. Hydro Man, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, what are they talking about? It says it comes from this video. I'm like, oh, okay. So I watched the video. The video makes no suggestion of Hydro Man whatsoever. It's just that there's a splash of water that comes in, and everybody jumps to the conclusion, that must mean Hydro Man. Do you remember The Amazing Spider-Man where he used the fire hydrant and water and blah, blah? Was there Hydro Man there? Just because there's water, it is crazy the straws that we will grasp at. And when I say we, I mean me too. I do it. I'm just as guilty as everybody. So are you. But it is crazy the straws that we will grasp at. Oh my God, did you see that video with Tom Holland? There's a there's a splash of water. That must mean Hydro Man's in it. It reminds me of when Scoot McNairy was photographed behind the scenes on the set of Batman vs. Superman. And he had green leggings on that were clearly for green screen effect. Now, having seen Batman vs. Superman, we all now know that's because they needed to green out, they needed to composite out his legs because his character had lost his legs. So he's supposed to not have any legs. So that's what the green screen is for. But I swear to God, I remember this so clearly. Oh my God, there's green on his legs. He must be the Flash. He's going to be the Flash. And everybody started running. Confirm Scoot McNairy playing the Flash in Batman vs. Superman. And it's like, oh my God. And obviously he was not. And it's just the same thing happening again. Look, is there a remote possibility in this universe that Hydro Man is one of the villains of Spider-Man Far From Home? Sure, there's a possibility. But it's so nonsensical that anybody, oh, there's water. There's water in a shot. It must be Hydro Man. Look, there's an electrical outlet in the wall. I think Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro. Why else would they have a wall socket with electricity in it? Must mean that Electro's back. I mean, it is kind of crazy, the straws will grasp it. And just that a splash of water comes in and all of a sudden headlines everywhere. Hydro Man, possible villain in Spider-Man Far From Home. But we do that. That's what we as film fans do, man. It's what we as film fans do. All right. Hayden Burke writes, and this is the final question of this companion video. Hayden Burke writes, John, have you seen the video, The Greatest Teacher Failure Is? A beautiful homage to Luke Skywalker, really enhances the story in The Last Jedi. I have not. I know a lot of people put these videos together. Like, there was one that everybody got me to watch the other day called Sacrifice, that's kind of built around the MCU. And I finally did watch it. Beautifully done. I don't know who edited it or put it together, but they did a great job. It's beautifully done. This sounds like another one of those videos. I have not seen it myself, but you just plugged it. Now a lot of other people can go look it up. I'll probably go check it out, but I have not seen it yet myself, so I can't really talk about it that much. All right, guys, that will do it for this companion video, getting us a little bit more caught up. And by the way, guys, listen, if you are somebody who sent in a live question and it wasn't in this companion video, don't worry. I still have a bunch of other questions I need to get around to. Those will come up in another companion video later this weekend, so keep your eyes open for that. All right, guys, thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campia, and until my next video, bye-bye.